Muggle, 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 muggle. Huh?
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Hearthstone Global Games review. I'm Zoe, and I'm once more joined by Falcone, and of course we're also going to have a special guest here in the studio who will help us review the conclusion of the round of 16. After 2 more weeks of intense Hearthstone action, we now have 4 teams out of 48, which will be stamping their tickets to the finals at Gamescom 2017. Those teams being the Czech Republic, Ukraine, USA, and South Korea. Those 4 will battle it out at the 25th and 26th of August,
where the Hearthstone Global Games champion will be crowned. But before we go any further, first, let's review what happened in the round of 16. And to help us do this, we have a very special guest all the way from the Netherlands, the winner of DreamHack Winter 2016, Seat Story Cup 7, it's Mitsuhide. Mitsuhide, how does it feel to be here?
I'm super happy to be here. It's really great to get some insight behind the scenes as a player and excited to take part in this HGG review.
Now, before we go any further, let's address the Murloc in the room. Unfortunately, you guys have been eliminated from the Hearthstone Global Games. You lost to Ukraine, and what a series it was. But I need to ask you about the game against the Hunter, where you left a scavenging hyena on the board when there was the ability to kill it. Can you talk me through why you did that?
Yeah, so basically we thought we could still Jade Lightning the hyena the turn after. And we thought the game was going really head-to-head, so we had to make some kind of tempo play. And I think Lightning that turn was not good enough of a tempo play. So we decided to take the best tempo play possible by playing minions out. And then we hoped we could deal with the hyena the turn after, but unfortunately it didn't happen. And the hyena just got too big and we couldn't deal with it anymore, and that probably lost us the game.
Now, but still, if we look at your lineup, those are big names right there in Team Netherlands. I'm wondering, did that maybe at the beginning cause some trouble? Was there a little clash of egos, or was it all chill?
No, it was all chill. Like, we were all kind of small egos. Even though people like Thijs are super famous, they still really work well together and they don't think their own play is necessarily the best all the time. So I think there was really a strength of our team that we could just discuss together, come to a consensus almost every turn. And yeah, we just worked together really well.
That sounds great. Now, Netherlands versus Ukraine, you already mentioned that matchup. And honestly, those are so talented players in both of those teams, and that very well could have been like an HGG Grand Final right there. Now, Falcone, what were your opinions on the performance in general of the Netherlands?
Certainly one of the strongest teams coming into the Hearthstone Global Games. I think everyone can agree on that in terms of the individual players, their tournament pedigree, and just their popularity. I do want to talk a little bit about the game before your game versus Ukraine, Netherlands versus Brazil. You had relatively normal, straightforward games to begin the series, and Brazil pulled ahead. But then the way that you guys came back, first there was the game with Tyler on the Quest Warrior with the Ragnar's hero powers going all over the place and eventually taking it away. But then there was the even harder matchup. You had Control Paladin with no N'Zoth versus Jade Druid. Now this should have been an almost impossible matchup for you guys. How did you pull it off?
Yeah, so going into this game, we knew we were really unfavored because we didn't play N'Zoth, we didn't play Karen. We actually played a really anti-aggro list with double forbidden healing. So we knew we had to curve really well to put on enough early pressure to actually push through in the late game. And it actually happened. We had Pyromancer on turn 2, we had Temple Alder Peacekeeper on turn 3. And we had a pretty good curve up until, I think, turn 6 or 7. And then it kind of went head-to-head, and the Jade Druid usually should pull ahead in that head-to-head combat. But yeah, in the end, we knew we had to get Tarim from Stonehill Defender, and we actually got it. So yeah, that was really huge. And then we just barely managed to get enough damage in to close out the game.
All the teams we've seen in all the phases of the HGG have been impressing us a lot. And for everyone who didn't manage to catch all the games, we cherry-picked some highlights for you. Enjoy.
first finalists, Czech Republic, continued their global games dominance by knocking out China in the round of 8.
I think this is a stretch, but it's possible. The more you see of your opponent's deck, the more you know about their potential rest of their lineups. It's a bit of a reach, but...
Next up, Ukraine, represented by a team with 2 players already going to the World Championship, took down the Netherlands all-star lineup and seemed to have emerged as a clear favorite among the final 4 teams.
He sends out the well played.
South Korea, with their win, will be the sole representatives of Asia and carry the tradition of Korean esports through to the finals.
Of course, embrace the shadow means that it took the damage. And that game is over.
Gonna be it.
And finally, the powerhouse USA had some struggles, but ultimately defeated New Zealand in a nail-biter to move on.
The tech choice from the United States coming out and giving them the win.
We started with 48 countries, and now we're down to just 4. Which nation will bring home the Hearthstone Global Games title? We'll see you at Gamescom for the finals.
Now, Mitsuhide, which teams impressed you the most in the HCG?
I would say the 4 teams that are actually qualified to the LAN finals impressed me the most. Not only because 2 of them were the only teams that defeated us during the group stage and the top 16 match, but also because I think, for example, Czech Republic has great guts when it comes to deck choice. And I think their individual skills are extremely high.
There have been a lot of storylines in the Hearthstone Global Games and a lot in the round of 16. First, let's talk about some of the underdogs, with Greece doing such a good job at the start, getting really far in the tournament, but sadly not getting any further than round of 16. Miracle Rogue causing them to be eliminated.
And we also saw Mexico falling to South Korea in the round of 8 with a 3-0.
After struggling in the round of 16, South Korea came back. They picked up their game wins with the Evolved Shaman. They evolved into a Stormwind champion, forcing their opponent to not have any options. They had Sunkeeper Tarim in hand, which was unplayable, 2 Tyrians, which they still would have lost through, so South Korea taking it quite comfortably.
After all, there are only 4 spots for those finals now. Falcone, what was the biggest upset in your opinion?
Well, there were quite a few really, Netherlands of course being one of them, but the 2 that I'd like to highlight were actually Canada losing out to New Zealand. The other team I want to highlight is China. They struggled in phase 1, but in phase 2 they really started beating everyone. Unfortunately, they didn't make it through. Czech Republic put a stop to them, and Czech Republic, they did deserve their place, thanks to their incredible deck building prowess.
But they were ahead 2-1. And then Mexico, just Mexico things. They took it back. Want to talk about it?
Mexico, a very strong team. Another team that really did impress me, to be fair. Italy, as many of you will know, was my cast to pick to win the whole thing. Shout out to Raven, as he is now the only caster whose pick is still in, as he chose South Korea. And I built up a little bit of a relationship with Team Italy. It was nice supporting them and watching them as we went through. But Mexico did deserve their win, and I'm very, very happy with the top 4.
Now, of course, the question is, who of the 4 finalists do you think is going to make it?
Well, that's a really hard question. I think all 4 of the teams definitely have the skill it takes to win. They're all incredibly strong individual players. But if I would have to make a guess, I would say Ukraine. And not only because they beat us, but because this team has the most experience in an offline environment. So for the finals, I think it's really going to matter how much composure they actually have on stage.
So personally, what was your biggest takeaway from the HCG?
Well, obviously we learned to really play together, but also I think something people kind of underestimate is that we learned how to adapt to a changing format. Like every week and every stage, the meta was kind of different, and we just used different strategies all the time. And I think in the end, we had our strategy almost completely figured out.
Mitsuhide, thank you so much for joining us here in the studio. It was great to have you here and get that insight. And also, of course, thanks for all the great games you and your team showed us during the HCG, as well as all the other teams. Falcone, it was awesome having you here for all the reviews. And also, it was awesome to watch you cast. You really brought the hype.
Pleasure to be here, as always. Cannot wait for the finals.
Well, neither can I. And I'm pretty sure everyone watching is also super eager to see all the action from the 4 final teams. Thanks a lot for joining us for our review show. We hope to see you again for the finals.
actually pretty big. Now, that said, we see that Taiwan still had a lot of health, and a brawl just totally blows this board out.
Yeah.
That would make sense. All right, well, there's the Bloodlust coming out. Just going to go ahead and get that damage in now. You know, and I think they realize with 5 cards left, wow. Yeah, the free thing from below allows the Sea Giant to come down as well.
They actually attacked for 9. Is that... Oh, yeah, they rolled a board. Such this game.
Wow!
Wow!
That is nuts.
Bad spot that way.
Potion of Man. Now they're going to find the bad news that there's a redemption. Oh, no.
He is.
But it's still not good enough.
3, 6, 9.
It's just not.
Not going to be enough. They've taken it because it's the best card. They're working out. He sends out the well played.
And the Storm Guardians defies again. Right.
Come on.
If it goes face, then he's about to win the game. Whiff and have Loxodontus take it away.
God.
It hits! It hits!
He